my name is Veronica. Welcome to my course, Date Online. Dating is really hard. It is hard for everybody, whether you're a man or a woman. I was dating my whole life myself. And you might say, oh, it was probably not a problem for you to find somebody online or to meet somebody. And to be honest with you, it was as hard for me as it would be for anybody, no matter who you are, a man or a woman. So why would you watch this course and why would you listen to me? Dating is really hard, and no matter who you are, a man or a woman, a younger man, a younger woman, married, divorced, we all go through this at some point in our lives. Being a foreigner in this country, I really never had a family here. I didn't go to college here. So for me, the only way to meet people was, of course, online. So I went to various different websites to meet guys. And those are the stories I'm going to share with you because there were so many different mistakes that the guys made that I made. And if I was starting over, those would be pieces of advice I would give myself starting fresh. Any relationships or dating are very difficult to do. And it's difficult for both men and women. And you might say, oh, this is probably easy for you. It's a lot easier for girls to meet guys than for men to meet girls. And that's not true because there is always that chemistry, that balance, that spark that is so important to find in another person when you're looking for somebody. That no matter who you are, what age you are, what kind of relationship you had in the past, maybe you just got out of a relationship or got out of marriage, it is important to have a strategy. It's important to have a plan before you start going dating. Many of us learn the hard way. Many of us do not follow any rules. When we go out there and start looking for people or start going on dates, we don't have a plan. And if you have something in place, you will find your soulmate a lot faster. I strongly believe that everybody has a chance for happiness, and everybody can find that happiness, that soulmate, that friend, your best partner in life. I was married before myself. I met my husband on Match.com, and I'm currently dating somebody who I've met 3 years ago on Tinder. So the website you go to find somebody, whether it's Plenty of Fish, Bumble, or Match, or Yahoo Personals, no matter where you go, it doesn't matter what website or what online platform you're using. What matters is what plan you have in place before you start dating. For myself personally, I came up with a formula of success of dating and meeting the right person. Of course, there are a lot of different kinds of people out there. Some of them are fake. Some of them want certain things in a certain way. Some of them are not serious and are not emotionally available to date. So you run into all kinds of people. And the way you're filtering those people, the way you're sorting through those profiles online is a very important strategy. It's important to understand the approach. I'll share with you my approach of how I was looking for dates, how I was meeting people online, and hopefully some of my advice that I will share with you will be helpful, not only from the strategy of meeting somebody, but also to sustain, to keep that relationship going for months or years to come. So when you're on the websites and you're looking for a date or you're looking for your soulmate, maybe a partner or a friend, it's so important to understand that dating is very similar to finding a job. Just like in finding a job, there are different stages to set up your resume, to go to the interview, to sustain the job or to maintain the job for a long time. So it's very, very similar. The process of finding the right person also takes multiple stages. It takes a couple of steps that you have to complete, and you have to be smart about it, how you're planning those stages, what you're putting out there about yourself, what you're looking for in the partner. All of those things have to be pre-planned, have to be thought through before you make those steps. Otherwise, if you don't follow a certain structure or a certain plan, you can be very frustrated because there are so many people out there, all of them are different, and finding that needle in the haystack can be a big challenge. It is a challenge, but it's not impossible. Happiness is possible. It's available to everybody. We just need to follow the right steps in order to find that special someone who will make you happy and you can make them happy as well. So just like in any job interview, putting out your resume or putting out your profile or posting your profile is a very, very critical step. And it's so important to make sure you are putting the right information online about yourself. You're putting the correct pictures or the truthful pictures of yourself, so that there is no confusion when you meet the person face to face, and then there is no lie behind of you posting a picture that is 10 years old or 20 years old, and you no longer even look the same. Or maybe you're telling that person about the interest that you don't even have or things you don't do anymore in your life. You have to be current about your resume, just like with the job interviews. When you're doing the description of your skills, of what you're looking for, it's current to this moment in time. It's not current for something that happened 10 years ago or 20 years ago. You have to be truthful with yourself. You have to be honest with people who are looking at your resume or at your profile online. You don't have to put too much out there and mention every detail. It's not necessary. You can start with something as basic as your name, your 4 or 5 main interests, your current 2, 3, 4 pictures, not just of your face, but also maybe a picture of the activity that you like to do, like maybe swimming, maybe boating, maybe you like hiking, you like traveling. Make sure you also post a picture of full length of yourself. So it's not just a cropped picture of your face, or maybe you had somebody else in the picture and you cropped it out or you blacked it out. That also looks kind of fishy, and it doesn't look good when somebody's looking at your pictures. Take new pictures, make them clear. So show yourself in the pictures like you are in everyday life, from your face to maybe some activities to maybe things you like to do, so that whoever is looking at your pictures, they have an understanding of what you are as a person, what your personality is like, what you do for work, or maybe what you like to do for fun. And it's possible that those people, when they look at the pictures of yours, they can match their own interests and what they're looking for in you. And then they can swipe the right way in order to go on a date with you. You can post pictures of your pets, or I would suggest to have a picture with your pet rather than just a picture of your pet. Maybe you're looking for somebody who will be happy to hang out with the family and do things together with you every weekend to go visit your family. So make sure you post those pictures on the web of yourself being surrounded by your family and friends. If this is something that really interests you, if this is something that you constantly do. So you have to give that vibe to the other person of who you are and who surrounds you, who is around you, and how you spend your free time. As they say, pictures can say a lot more than words about the other person. So think about it from that aspect. Before you post your pictures, what you want them to see about you, about your personality, about your free time, about your family. Maybe you have children, maybe you have pets that are in the pictures. So be truthful about it and talk about that in your profile as well. You can put 4, 5, 6 sentences about yourself. Don't write a long poem with your lifelong story. It's not needed. Even if you do want to talk about how the first date should be, maybe because you like to stay active, you like to go for a walk in the park, and that's what you want to put it in the profile, or how you envision romantic dinners or traveling experiences with your partner. You can write, of course, a book and put it online, but I promise you nobody's gonna read it. So don't waste your time. Pictures will do this storytelling for you. So if you put 4 or 5 great pictures of yourself doing different activities, that will tell so much the other person about you that the profile text is not going to be as meaningful or as important. Like the famous saying goes, we all meet people by appearance, and then we say goodbyes to their intelligence. So let's recap. The resume or your profile on the internet is one of the most critical parts of your dating experience. So make sure you have at least 4 or 5 clear, current, and nice pictures of yourself, of things you do, how you look, your physical face, your physical body appearance, you doing some activities, maybe sports, maybe hanging out with your family and friends, maybe you're walking your dog. So make sure those pictures are clear, not fuzzy. You're not somewhere far away in the distance. You cannot really see you, and nobody can really see you in that distance. So make sure the pictures are close up, clean, and nice, that can tell a story about you. In the profile itself, put 4 or 5 sentences about yourself and what you're looking for. Be short, be brief. Don't go into the long storytelling book writing profile, because nobody's going to read it. People or women or men, they will be looking at your pictures first, maybe reading the first 2 sentences of your profile and swiping left or right. So now let's talk about where you're posting your profile. Whether you're paying for dating website or you're posting on your profile on one of the websites that are free, it doesn't matter. The portal where you meet people, paid or unpaid, does not make big difference. I've been on a lot of different websites. I've been on paid websites. I've been on free websites. The chances of you meeting the right person is the same, no matter whether you're going to an expensive matching dating site or you're going to the free one. If you place your profile on multiple sites, of course you have better chances of meeting somebody or be seen by the right person. At the same time, you will get a lot of communication flowing to you, whether it's going to be text messages or emails or different matching tools that will match you with different people. So it will be time consuming. Once you post your profile, you will have to spend the time on the website or multiple websites to address all the communications and be able to talk to the people who you're meeting. So probably doing it on the weekend would be the best way, because then it's not going to be interrupting you from your work and your daily routines and your daily activities. And then you have better chances of speaking to somebody live via the chat feature in the app or on that website, so that you can ask them a little bit more questions so you find out more about these people. Just like in the job interview, just like in the job search, the more you put yourself out there, putting your profiles on different sites, or maybe the more people you talk to, the greater are your chances of meeting the right person or meeting somebody live and be able to see if you have that compatibility and chemistry or not. Step 2 of this process, after you posted your profile online, your pictures, now it is time to start communicating with people who are either approaching you or you're approaching them. So the big thing in the past that I noticed people were making those mistakes every time is when you swipe, some of those apps make it so easy to swipe left or right, but then if you like somebody, you just put a heart next to their face or maybe to their profile, but you never go back to talk to them. Maybe you got matched in the background and they sent you a notification that the other person liked you as well, but then you're just holding back and you're waiting for them to talk to you first, maybe because you're busy talking to others, or maybe you just didn't have the time to look through their profile yet, so you're kind of leaving it for later. Just keep in mind that on these websites, time is very precious. So if you don't talk to them right away, these people might be gone 2 or 3 days later. It happened to me all the time in the past as well. Once I go online, maybe the first couple of days I get a lot of communication going, and then as soon as I make plans to meet somebody in person, make the date, it's quite possible that after this date I'm going to meet the right person and I will never come back to this website. So this time is so critical in this, and you have to address or talk to that person right away. Do not wait until 2 or 3 days later or the weekend to read about them and talk to them, because they might be gone. They might never come back online again, or they might just go on the date tonight and meet that person. Time is so critical. So how do you talk to them? How do you write to them? So if you liked somebody and they might not have matched back with you yet, some websites allow you to send them a message regardless whether they matched with you or not. So first of all, the best thing to do is, of course, say hello. Say hi, how are you doing? Maybe say something about what you liked about their profile, maybe what you liked about their pictures. Maybe talk a little bit about yourself, that you would love to meet them because you have some things in common, maybe because you like to do sports as well, or maybe you like hiking as well, maybe you have a dog as well. So certain things that you're very compatible or very similar, you can talk about that a little bit. Don't write a big poem. Just write a couple of sentences saying, hello, I noticed your profile. I thought we might be a good match because of 1, 2, 3, 4 reasons that we have in common. So write them a little message. Don't just say hi or you look pretty or sending you kisses. Say something that they can think about and they can reply to you. Because if you say nothing, if you just like them by swiping right or left, without communicating, without making that first step of saying hello, saying how are you, saying hey, then you might not come across as somebody who is interesting or somebody who is interested to find the right match for themselves. I would not suggest to make canned responses or canned type of sentences of, hey, I'm so and so, I want to meet you because of this and this. Customize your responses and your approaches, whether you're a woman or a man. Customize it based on the facts that you find in their profile. Maybe the pictures or some interesting things that you noticed about their pictures, and you want to ask a question. And it's probably the best way, is not just to talk about yourself and why you would match up, but also to comment on things that they're doing in their photographs or they're talking about in their profile, and maybe ask them a question. Ask them 1 or 2 questions. Don't ask them about the color that they like or the food they like to eat. Ask them about something specific that they talk about in their profile. Maybe you're curious about additional facts to learn about them. And that's a good gateway to learning and getting a response back from that person. If the person does not respond to you, it might mean so many different things. So don't get offended, don't get mad, don't get angry and frustrated right away. There are so many different reasons why the person is not responding to you. In my case, there were reasons of I was getting bombarded with so many emails and text messages, I didn't have a chance or time to look through them all. And sometimes it took me a couple of days to get back to you. The other reason could be that the profile is fake and it's not the real person, or the person in the pictures are not the real pictures of the person, and they might be just playing some kind of game. The third reason could be that they have a date, or they had a date last night, they already met somebody, and they didn't get a chance to take their profile down yet. So they might not be even active on the website. So make sure you check if they're active, if they're live, or some websites will tell you when they were live last time, whether it was last 24 hours they were online and checking things out, or maybe it was a week ago, maybe it hasn't been in a while. And most of the websites will tell you how long ago the person was online, so that you have a better understanding of whether you should waste your time talking to the person who hasn't been online in a while. The other thing I would like to mention about people who are online and who are active, who are currently looking. So it's important to talk to these people right away. Those who are new, who are current, who have been online in the last 24 hours. If they have not, do not even bother trying to reach out to them, because they might already found somebody and they never took their profile down, or they're just not as active, they're not as interested to meet somebody, they might not be ready for dating yet. So it might be a waste of your time. I would recommend to do the same with your profile. As soon as you meet somebody, you want to date that person, take your profile down so you don't confuse other people, and the profile does not stay up there and active for the longest time, and so that other people can contact and text you. If you're sure, if you're ready to date, if you're ready to meet somebody, or you've met somebody, do not keep your profile on the website going and active and open. The other trick to eliminate all that headache of people reaching out to you is you can keep your profile active, but you can take your pictures down. This way, when you're ready, if you went on a date, it didn't work out, you want to go back to the dating world, you just make your active, you just put the pictures back up, and then this way you will have more attention and you will let people know that you're available to date, you're available to talk to them, and that's the best way probably to let others know that you're active and you're ready to date. So the next step in this communications phase of finding the right person on the web, once you start talking to somebody, your main goal will be 2 things. One is figure out whether this person is real and this person lives close to you. They have a phone number with a local area code. They're not some fake profile somewhere in India, Africa, or anywhere else. And they're ready to meet with you tomorrow for coffee if they're available. So that would be the first thing to do. If the person is not willing to share their phone number with you, or not even talk to you for a few minutes on the phone, there is something wrong with that person, or maybe that's not a real person. So please be careful when you're trying to date online. because there are so many fakes and so many fake profiles out there. So when you start liking somebody through the pictures or through the brief chat that you had, so after you figure out that this person is real, try to set up a date. And don't set up the date 2 or 3 weeks from now. Set up the date for this week, maybe today, tomorrow, this weekend, or the following week. Do not go beyond the 2-week range. Just keep in mind that these people, and yourself probably, have multiple dates already set up for this week and for next week. So their chances of becoming unavailable are pretty high. And could be your chances of finding somebody high too, the more dates you have set up. So the faster you're going to see them, the more chances you have to meet the right person for yourself and somebody who you want to date. You have to make the time for that person. You have to have sense of urgency. So if you have business obligations, if you have kids, if you have family matters, if it's a holiday season and you're just not available to see somebody, try to seal the deal by setting up the date and time when you're going to go for a date. Do not talk too much to that person online, because the more you build that connection on the internet, the more you might be frustrated or disappointed later if something didn't work out. The best thing to do is have a brief discussion on the web. If the person replies back to your message, hello, how are you? I loved your pictures. I like staying active. How about we go for a walk in the park? Are you available this Saturday or maybe Friday morning? Hey, let's walk a dog in the park, and this is the park in my area. Would you like to meet me there for half an hour? That's the best gateway to start talking, to communicating with another person, or meeting them for coffee. You don't have to invite them for dinner. You don't want to be stuck probably with a person who you don't like. Once you meet, you spend 15, 20, 30 minutes with them. You kind of know if you like them or not, if there's anything there, if there's any spark or compatibility with that person. So the shorter your first date is, the better. The less you talk online to that person, the better. A couple of sentences back and forth. The best way to use online chat is to make arrangements for your date, where to meet, how to meet, maybe exchange phone numbers so you can talk to each other or text each other briefly before your first date. But the goal is not to talk online, but to talk face to face, because that's the only way you will know if you're compatible with that person, if you like that person, if there's any kind of chemistry or a spark. So get them out of the house, get them to meet you, even briefly, just for 30 minutes max. You don't have to have a big, long first date unless it goes really well and then you really want to spend all night with that person or all evening with that person. I had some horror dates before, first dates, when I was invited to these expensive restaurants for elaborate long dinners, and I didn't even really like the guy. It's the worst feeling in the world where you kind of feel guilty that you're already there, you cannot really leave, and you're having this feast with the other person, you're having this fancy, wonderful dinner, and then already in the back of your mind, in your heart, you know this is not the right person for you and you don't want to be with them, or you don't want to even go with them on the second date. And the best way to know whether this is even the right person for you is, would you want to kiss that person on the first date? That's the question I always ask myself, being on the first date, on the first 15, 20, 30 minutes with the person on the date. I would always ask myself in my head, of course, would I want to kiss this person? And if the answer is yes, then I would definitely want to go on the second date and the third date with that person. It depends, of course. And it would be okay to kiss on the first date if you really like each other. So why not? There is no set rule of when to kiss or when to have sex and all of that stuff. It's important to ask yourself the question in the first 30 minutes whether you like that person or not. And the only way I would know is if I would be attracted to them physically and I would want to kiss them on the first date. That would be an indicator for me if I wanted to see them again. And if you're stuck on this long dinner with a person who you don't like, who you don't find physically attractive, or you're not attracted to, or maybe they're not attracted to you, when you're putting yourself in the worst situation of trying to make up the conversation, trying to smile and be happy and look kind of polite and nice, because you really cannot just walk up and say goodbye, right? And not giving them the courtesy and politeness that everybody deserves. So don't put yourself in that situation, and don't put your date in that situation by inviting them to a fancy dinner. So the best rule of thumb is go for coffee for a walk, or any kind of date that would only last for 30 minutes or less than an hour. You do not want to put yourself or anybody else in the situation of being around and talking to somebody where there's nothing there, there's no connection, and the conversation can turn even awkward because you really don't know what to talk about. I've heard some horror stories about people chatting online, maybe for a long period of time, maybe for weeks, maybe for months, sometimes for a year if it's a long distance relationship. It's definitely not for me. I'm not a long distance person for the communications, for dating. I think it's so frustrating, but some people do that, and they talk to this person and build this connection online. They find so many things in common with each other, but then when they finally meet, there's no spark. There's no true attraction or compatibility, and they just build this relationship that does not exist, that stays in the virtual reality. And unfortunately, this happens a lot. It happens to a lot of people, and it happens because people have not really experienced that frustration, that disappointment. They haven't really, maybe it's that their first time of dating online, and they want to see that person to be somebody that person is not. They envision that person to be somebody else. So it's all in their heads. But then when they meet, there is nothing there. And it's so dangerous to put all your time, your energy, your emotions invested into this relationship that it does not exist. So be very careful about building that connection, that relationship. The best thing to do is, as soon as you like somebody, by their pictures, you think there might be a match in the profile with your interests and things you like to do, make sure you set up the first date as soon as possible and have that date short so that everybody has a way out or time out when you're done after 15, 20 minutes. So maybe even the first 5 minutes. If you see that's not the right person, it's okay to apologize and walk away. And nobody should have hurt feelings. I know some people do get hurt feelings because they think a lot of themselves and they think they should be good for anybody who they like, but it doesn't go the same both ways. Everybody likes what they like, and you cannot make it up. You cannot make the connection that does not exist. You cannot make up the spark and the chemistry that is not there. The best thing to do is have a short date and see where it goes from there. So let's talk about things you should not talk about on the first date, or things you should not mention or discuss with a new person you just met. Thing number one is, do not talk about your prior relationships and why, what, how long. Don't ask about that either. You can ask briefly about the story, about what happened, if they're divorced, if they were dating for some time and things didn't work out. Just keep it brief. Do not go into deep diving into their details of their life. It's better for both sides. Do not ask the reasoning, because you might discover things that you don't like. And it's always hard to describe what really happened in the previous relationship, why somebody left the marriage, or why you left the marriage, or what happened in your past relationship with your boyfriend, girlfriend. It's better to keep it simple. Things didn't work out. We split up, went separate ways. Just keep it as simple as possible. If you want to go into further discussion and more details about those prior relationships, it's better to leave that conversation for maybe date 5 or 10 or later on. You don't want to do it on the first date, because that will give a bad impression of you by asking, and of them if they go into deep diving in the details of their prior relationships. That area is better left untouched. The other thing that people like to talk about is, how come you're single? I mean, it goes both ways, right? How come you're single? Why are you dating? I'm single for that same reason. So don't ask me a stupid question. That's one of those stupid questions. The other thing people ask about, and that is also kind of dumb, is, how many dates have you been on? How many dates do you have for this week scheduled today? And my answer would be, do you really want to know? A lot of times I had more than one date a day, so I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to tell anybody how many dates I have, and I'm not asking you how many dates you have or had or why it didn't work out, or why you're going on more dates than the date with me that is beyond this point. The rules are the same for everybody. We're looking to meet new people, and we're looking for that happiness. We're trying to find that spark with one person. And the more people you go out with, the more people you meet, the better are your chances to meet the right person. So don't ask the question how many dates you have, how many dates you had in the past, how many dates you still have planned. It's none of your business, because you're doing the same thing, and so do I. There are a few more questions that people asked me in the past on the first dates and that were awkward. One was, do you like me at the end of the date? And honestly, nobody's going to tell you if they liked you or not yet. They might have to think about, even if they do like you, they would want to say it to you themselves. You don't have to ask them for them to tell you that they liked you or not. You can say it yourself that you liked somebody. You can say it to their face. You can try to kiss them. By kissing them, you will show them that you like them. What you can ask instead is, would you like to go on the second date with me? And I would do that at the end of the first date. And if they said yes, nail it right there. Ask them when. When would you be available? When would you like to go on a second date? This way, if the other person likes you too, of course, they're going to give you the straight answer. Yeah, maybe let's meet tomorrow. Maybe let's meet later, maybe for dinner. They will be willing to go on a second date. But if they're hesitant and they will say, well, I need to check my calendar, I will get back to you. So let's catch up, let's talk tomorrow, and I will let you know when I'm available next date. If they're saying something like this, it's quite possible that they don't share the same feelings with you, and they might not like you as much as you like them. The other thing that makes awkward conversation is talking about sex on the first date. Maybe you exchanged some pictures on the internet while you were arranging to meet up. If you haven't, and now you want to talk about it, first date is probably not going to be the best time to talk about sex. I had guys who asked me about my STDs on the first date. I had guys who were offering me to meet in the hotel on the first date. If you're looking for a serious relationship, if you're looking for a partner, friend, and looking for that chemistry, sex will come with it. It's going to be a natural path that direction. But first, do not go into the details of sexual relationships with somebody who you just met, somebody who you're just trying to build some kind of rapport, trying to see if there is chemistry, if there is spark, if you like each other. You should probably talk more about the friendship, the relationships with their family, their kids, their pets, their work. Talk about all of that, but keep sex until later time, maybe second or third date. Don't jump into things too fast. Also, awkward dates that I had were when the other person would talk all the time or talk a lot. Or if I catch myself talking all the time, it's not a good dialogue, right? You're here to interview each other, just like at the job interview. You're there to ask questions, you're there to listen, and you're there to answer their questions, because they will be interested to know about your life, about you, what you are looking for, what you want from the relationship. So make sure you're patient, you're polite, you're respectful. Do not overwhelm that person with your life story, because they might not want to hear it right away. Also, make sure you have a chance to ask them questions. Ask them questions about certain things that are important to you and things that will matter, such as, do they have a job? What do they do in their free time? How would they handle certain situations when it comes to maybe children or pets or relatives or traveling? You can ask all of that, but keep it as a dialogue. Do not overwhelm them with your life story. Do not ask the questions that will turn them to talk about their life story for a whole hour, and you not being able to find out other things from them that you really wanted to find out. I would make even a list of questions that you want to ask them based on the criteria that's important to you, what you're looking for in that other person. So make that list and mentally go through that list during your date. If there is, of course, chemistry and a spark from the beginning. If it's not, no matter how much they match all these categories on your list and how much they're compatible with you in every other way, if there is no chemistry, if there is no attraction on the first date, all those things don't matter. So you have to pretty much move on. Unfortunately, you have to go to the next one. And just Think about dating as a numbers game. The more people you meet, the more people or go on the first dates with, the more are your chances to meet the right person. So it's okay not to spend too much time with each person unless you find that right person. And it's okay not to invite them to a fancy dinner on the first date and just stick to coffee or a brief walk in the park, because it's possible you're going to have 30 more of these. It's not going to be the first date and not going to be the last date. Hopefully it's going to be the last date. Quite possible that you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you meet your prince, as they're saying. So you might have 30 more of those dates or 50 more of those dates, maybe just 2 more of these dates before you meet the right person. The 2 most important things you need to find out on the first date. One is if there is attraction, if there is that chemistry and the spark, if you want to kiss that person on the first date. Number 2 that you need to find out on the first date, and a lot of times you won't be able to find out if they're emotionally available. Because a lot of times these people go out on dates and they just got out of the relationship. They still are not over their ex, whether it's their wife or their husband or maybe their prior boyfriend. They're not ready to commit to a relationship. If you're looking for a committed relationship and they're not, there is a big disparity there, and you should not waste your time or effort or energy or emotions investing it in the person who's not available emotionally, who is not ready for a new relationship. You can ask a couple of questions during that date to find out how long ago was their prior relationship. If that person moved on, maybe this person had other dates in between those relationships. You want to make sure that this person is available for you or available to date. If they're not, they will drag you along through all the dates and all the frustration, and it will build up. It will be very, very disappointing at the end for you, for both of you. It's important to find out on that first date is if that person is available to date physically, meaning their schedules. Are they busy with work? Are they traveling for work? Are they busy with kids? Do they have kids with them all the time? Or anything else? Maybe they're just busy in general. Do they have time to date? Do they have time for that significant other in their life? And believe it or not, it's easier said than done, because if you have a certain custody schedule with your ex, and if you have kids every evening of your work week, and you only have like a weekend available here and there, and you really don't even have 30 minutes to meet for coffee, what are the chances of that person who is so unavailable will have time to see you or to date you in the future? Unless you live together down the line, unless you find the time to get together and see each other regularly, what are the chances of them seeing you for the dating period? If they don't have the time to date you, or they didn't make the time for that special someone in their life, it's quite possible they will not find time to see you regularly. So I would definitely suggest to discuss it on the first date. What is your availability? What kind of schedules you both have? What kind of times you both have to see somebody, or to go on a date, or to see each other regularly. All right. Congratulations, you made it to the second date. So if you like that someone special, maybe it's your third date, usually you do know after a couple of dates whether you would like to continue dating this person and seeing that person. So in the way, you're already making a commitment to that person to see them again. And every time you go on the next date, you make a commitment for the following week or for the following day, or when you're going to see them again. Hopefully it's mutual, and hopefully it keeps flowing and you have more wonderful times together. In America, a lot of times couples differentiate between dating and relationships, as well as being exclusive or non-exclusive. I really don't understand that, to be honest with you. Being from a foreign country and dating in America, to me, if you are deciding to go on the second date with me, on the third date with me, maybe it's month number 2, month number 3, and we're dating, we're seeing each other regularly, why would that not be called exclusive? And I think it comes from the commitment anxiety, or somebody not wanting to commit to the other person, or maybe they want to continue dating other people. And in that case, If it's the case of the anxiety, it's just the word then. Just the way you're afraid to name things for what they are. If it's not an anxiety, if you're just that kind of person who is not ready to make a commitment for a relationship, and you just want to continue dating and many, many dates, many more to come, but maybe with the other people, then you're really into this for the wrong reason. You just want to continue dating. You're not happy with yourself. Maybe you're just not happy or you haven't met the right person yet. So in that case, you're hiding behind the word exclusive. You don't want to tag anybody specifically with the word exclusive relationship or exclusive partnership. So to me, it's the indicator. It's just you're not ready for that relationship in general. My advice to you is, if you find the right person, if you like to see that person again, if you like to build something or try something, it is an exclusive relationship. So start dating them, enjoy the time together. You don't have to tag it and say on the second date, oh, let's be exclusive. For you, all is required is that commitment of your time, of your emotions, to make sure that you can make that person happy and they can make you happy. And things can change after a month or two. You might change your mind. You might not like them as much as you like them in the first couple of weeks. So it's okay to have an honest conversation with them and kind of move on from that point and say, hey, this is not working out for me. I'm not really interested to pursue this relationship. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. So let's just split up right now when it's early on, so that we give ourselves better chances to find the right person. So when you're seeing each other, when you're going on dates, when you're seeing each other once a week, twice a week, maybe daily, maybe you start even living together. Because for you or for anybody, for me, you, it's so important to find the time on your schedule. And we're all busy, especially if you are in your 30s or in your 40s. You have children, you have a job, you have certain responsibilities every day. It's so important to find the time for that special someone, because if you don't, then you're not ready for the relationship. You're not ready for special someone in your life. So the last thing I would like to talk about is the dating behavior and the things that a lot of people do without noticing it, but can be really annoying and can ruin your relationship with this person. So number one thing is not to be clingy. A lot of times, whether you're a man or a woman, we fall into the trap of that behavior after you text somebody or call them and they don't call you back right away. So they might be busy at work, they might be busy with their schedule, or something else happened and they cannot respond to you right away. This is the worst thing possible when somebody starts texting and calling you nonstop like crazy because they want your attention right away, or they worry that you didn't respond to them right away. It goes the same with women or men. I have this happening to me too a lot. Somebody texts me and I can't call them back or respond back, and they start blowing up my phone. Have some faith, have trust in that other person, and give them some space, give them respect. They will get back to you when they're ready or when they have the time to get back to you, because you don't know what they're going through right now. Something can be happening at work, or that can be happening in their personal life. So give them space, give them that 6 hours or 12-hour time, maybe even wait till tomorrow for them to respond before you start freaking out. Number two thing is calling or texting somebody is super late. Some people do not like that. I personally don't. And if you have to go to bed early because you get up for work early, or you have kids, you have responsibilities, you go to bed probably around 9 or 10 o'clock. So you don't want to be chit-chatting at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock at night. You can send as a quick good night, some brief text message. Unless you know each other for a while and you know it's an okay behavior and you do that with each other all the time, and they don't have maybe some responsibilities at night and they're not as tired, or they like to stay up till late, then it would be okay. But usually, especially during the first couple of dates, do not try to be sexting, texting, any kind of calling super late, because that person might be in bed, or they might be living with their family and they cannot talk to you right now. Be respectful. The third thing that is extremely disrespectful and a kind of a bad behavior during dating is talking about your exes in a derogatory way. Whether you're a male or a female and you talk about your ex relationships, your ex-husband or ex-wife, and you call them names, or you call them something bad. All relationships, in any relationship, it's a two-way street. So if something fails or doesn't work out, usually it's both people's fault. So there is a reason why it failed, and you probably played a big part in that too. So both of you failed that relationship. So calling somebody bad or blaming them or putting that fault on them for a failed relationship, being your new partner, I don't want to hear about your past. I don't want to hear you calling somebody names. And because what I'm thinking to myself is, one day maybe you will call me that name, and I don't want to be called that name. It's just disrespectful. So the next thing about dating is, if you're going on a date, whether it's your first date, second date, or maybe 2 months later, I would definitely suggest to always look presentable. Try to shave, try to brush your hair, look nice, have your makeup on, dress nicely, because it's a romantic date. You should always find the time to look attractive for your partner, or to look good, to smell good. Shave before the date, because when you dress up, when you clean yourself up, you have that confidence, you have that sexiness shining through. Your partner can see it, they're attracted to it. That's what they got attracted to in the first place when they went on the first date with you, because you probably looked your best on the first date. So why do you change? Why two dates later, or 3 dates later, maybe months later, you look different, or you don't put any effort into looking good? There are of course days and times when you're sick or you're not feeling good, and maybe you're going on the date because it's like super early, you're flying somewhere on vacation, or you just had a rough night. Yes, there will be moments when you might not look your best, might not look at 100%. But when you have the time and the chance to put the effort in cleaning yourself up, to look presentable, doing your hair, doing your nails, ironing your suit or whatever you're wearing for the date or the dress, make yourself look good. You're not only gonna give yourself confidence to look presentable, you will also make your partner look at you with admiration, with respect, with love, and attraction. Of course, that physical attraction is always important, whether it's day one of your first date, or whether it's a year later. If that physical attraction goes away, if you're no longer attracted to each other the same way, then that relationship will fizzle. It will go away, and then that partner of yours might start looking someplace else, or they will get sick of you. And it goes for men as well. Don't wear sweatpants when you're going to a restaurant on a date. So when you're dating, it's a two-way street. You cannot expect the other person to constantly come and see you or spend time with you at your house if you're not living together. It goes around the same way. If somebody expects me to drive to them, and if it's an hour drive or half an hour drive, it has to be equal. When you're dating, it's an equal game. You go see them once a week, they come see you once a week. So try to share that burden of driving and seeing each other, showing that your efforts and that you want to invest your time in that other person by going there to see them as much as they're coming to see you. So it would be only fair if you share that time and that responsibility of how much you each are driving to see each other, or flying, depending on what kind of relationship you have, whether it's long distance relationship or it's a short distance, but you don't live together. So one more thing about traditions and about certain things, certain behaviors that people have. You can have different traditions when it comes to religion, and maybe how many times a week you pray, or how many times a day you pray, or maybe there are some family traditions of how you celebrate certain holidays and what you do first thing in the morning or the time before you go to bed. Those traditions are important to discuss, because if you want that person to spend time with you and do things together, do these activities together, you need to share it with them early on to get their commitment and their agreement to do it with you. For example, if you're going to church every Sunday and your date falls on that Sunday to see that person, you gotta offer it to them to either do it together, or if they're not into that stuff, do not force them to do those things because of you. They might agree to do it maybe once or twice. They might agree to do it all the time, depending on their preferences, or it might be a turn off for them and they might not want to see you again because of those things. The sooner you discuss your traditions and the things, the behaviors that you do as a routine on a weekly basis, the faster you will build that compatibility with that person, and it's going to be okay to do things together, or maybe do things apart and then get back together later on after your activities. But do discuss them early on. Same goes for health issues or any kind of health treatments. For example, if you go see a doctor, if it's physical therapy, if you have any kind of STDs and you need special treatments, if you have any kind of, or you can infect that other person with that condition, do not delay talking about that. Maybe you're not on the first date, but if you have day 2, day 3, maybe a week later, the longer you delay telling them the truth about your condition, the chances are higher for them to turn you down because you didn't tell them the truth up front, and see how they feel about it. And it's okay either way, whether they accept it and they accept you for who you are and what you have, maybe some sicknesses that you have, and they will help you fight through those things, or they might not want to deal with it. And it's their right to walk away. The less you're invested emotionally with that person, and the sooner you tell them, it's going to be also easier on you to deal with it, because not everybody might be accepting or welcoming those conditions or those things they will have to deal with when it comes to you. So whatever it is, you have to tell them up front and be honest. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end. I hope my advice and some of those tips and tricks will help you in your dating life. Just make sure you have a plan, make sure you know what you want, find out if the person is emotionally available to see you, find out if there's a spark and connection and chemistry on the first date. Do you want to kiss them on the first date? I hope you find happiness sooner than later. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel and watch more videos that I put together. Good luck and be happy.